everyone, welcome to this week's video. The question today is, do you need to have completed a PhD and or a postdoc in order to become a lecturer? Hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. My name is Caroline. I'm an academic at a UK university. So I teach and I research and I do admin all related to senior. I said it again. I'm a UK academic and I'm a senior physics lecturer. So I specialise in physics. And in today's video, I thought we could discuss a topic that comes up in the comments when my students ask me at university, do you need a PhD in order to become a lecturer at a university? And do you need to do a postdoc first before you can become an academic? So let's jump straight into it. First things first then, I am an academic based in the UK. So I'm predominantly going to be talking about the UK university system because that's what I have the most experience with. And that means I'll be using the UK definition of the term lecturer. I'll link a video in the comments if you haven't seen that one. It discusses the difference between what a lecturer means here in the UK to what it might mean, for example, in the USA, in Canada. So here in the UK, a lecturer is somebody who does research and teaching as part of their job role. It is a full-time position. You have tenure, typically, and you are working towards becoming a professor. So that's up first. And then I guess, secondly, I'm talking from the experience of somebody who's in the STEM sector. So I'm a physicist. So STEM means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So predominantly my world at the university is within those discipline areas. I've got some friends who are in the humanities, the arts, social sciences. So I see a little bit of what goes on in their world. But usually for me, I am a physics-based, so a STEM-based researcher. Okay, so with that said, do you need a PhD in order to become a lecturer? And the predominant answer is yes. So for the majority of subjects within the university, especially within the sciences, the technology, engineering and mathematics, yes, you do need to have a PhD if you want to apply to a university at some stage to become an academic and to become a lecturer. And it's a little bit more complicated because when you join a university these days, there's often three routes you could look to take. So the first route is a very kind of conventional route, if you like, and it's what the majority of us do. And that is your typical lecturer, senior lecturer up to professor. And that means your job will involve teaching and research duties. Nowadays, you can also join a university on a research track, and that's when you become a researcher, a senior researcher, and work up, if you like, to being a professor in research. And you can also join on the teaching track, where you focus on teaching, and you start off as a teaching academic, and then become a senior teaching fellow, and then work up on that pathway. And typically, people don't move between those routes. So you pick the route that you want to be on, and quite often you progress within that channel, within that route. And so if you, if you're looking to be on the lecturer route, you will most often need to have a PhD. Within the research route, yes, you're going to need to have a PhD because it shows you've done research experience. Within the teaching route, I guess it can be a little bit more variable. Sometimes you need the PhD to prove that you've got experience at certain levels of courses to be able to teach them. And I guess sometimes there's a bit more flexibility there, whether you can enter some kind of teaching role without having the PhD. But in the main, you are going to need a PhD if you're looking to become a lecturer within the UK system. There are always going to be exceptions, and it will again depend on your course. Of course, it does depend on the course that you're looking to become involved with. You know, some courses won't require you to have a PhD, but the vast majority, if you're looking to be a lecturer at a university standard, they will have in their job requirements that you need to have the PhD. Sometimes you'll see PhD or equivalent experience, and that is a route to recognise people who maybe have 10, 15, 20 years of experience within an industry or within some kind of relevant sector that's directly relatable. But in the main, you're going to see that people requesting that PhD qualification. And the way to check if your particular area and your particular university needs the PhD is to look at job adverts. I put this in the comments a lot when people say, do I need a PhD? because it can vary between universities and between the subject that you're actually working within, the best thing to do is to look at job adverts. You can see these job adverts up at universities, so they'll post them on their university web pages. You can also have a look at things like jobs.ac.uk. They list out academic jobs here in the UK. And once you've got that job description, you can look at the breakdown and you can see for your particular area, what are the qualifications needed. And therefore you can see whether you need the PhD or whether you don't. And so the next question is whether you need to do a postdoc. So after you've completed your PhD, people often go on to do a postdoctoral position. So these are research focused. You may choose to stay at the university that awards you your PhD, but quite often you will actually look to change university to get more experience of a different institution. And these are they are very competitive to get into and to get hold of. There's two broad kinds, I guess. There's the postdoctoral position where you're applying to it as if it's like a job. So the principal investigator, the academic colleague, has already won money in order to fund that postdoc position. And they put up an advert, and then people can apply into that advert and say, yes, I'd like to do that postdoc working with you. And the second route is where you, as the individual, apply to a research council or a funding body, typically in partnership with a university partner who supports your case. And together, you and the university, you apply for the funding money to say, hey, I'd like to do a postdoctoral research position. This university will host me if you award me the position, and this will be the subject that I do it in. Typically, you go for those kind of ones after you've had a postdoc experience at a university. So quite often people will do their PhD, then they'll apply for a postdoc where the money's already been awarded to that project, and they'll work with a supervisor or a colleague at the university to do that position. Then after they've had the experience of that for maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 years, they'll then look to apply for a postdoctoral research position in their own right, working with a university partner to try to secure money to fund them. It's not the same for everybody. People do things in different ways. When I was a PhD student, it was very typical that if you were wanting to become a lecturer and a professor, you needed to do potentially 2 of these postdoc positions. And quite often one of them needed to be in a location different to where you currently were. And quite often that location needed to be international to get you some more experience. So it does mean that as a postdoc, you can potentially be moving around on short-term temporary contracts. So, these postdoc positions are usually 1 to 4 years. Sometimes they go up to 5 years, and they're really good when you get those like longer-term ones if you're looking to put down roots. But yeah, typically it's 1, 2, 3 or 4 years, and then you have to move yourself again and go to a different place and do another 1, 2 or 3 or 4 years. And so that comes with kind of challenges, and we can definitely talk about that in a future video. So if you want to be a lecturer, do you need to do this postdocing stage? Well, lots of people will do that postdocing stage. You don't have to do it. I didn't do the postdocing stage, and I'm now a senior lecturer at a university. But what you have to do is get equivalent experience under your belt. So I didn't do the 2 postdocs, but I did spend 10 years working for an industry where I became a technical leader. I led the research of others. I won research grant money. I looked after health and safety laboratories. I was gaining the same experience, the same skills as if I'd been actually working within the university sector doing a postdoc. So the long and the short of it is, do you need to do a postdoc? No. Do many people do a postdoc before becoming a lecturer? Yes, that is the traditional and the conventional route still. And if you're not doing a postdoc and looking to keep the door open to come back into the academic world, you need to make sure that you are within your CV still publishing, so still putting out journal papers and keeping your name on the academic circuit, and still going out to conferences and events. And we can talk about that in a future video, how to make sure you're maintaining a presence in academia, yet working in industry. So there we go. There's the long and short of the answer. From my experiences, and remember, I'm a UK-based academic and I do physics, so I'm in the STEM sector. From my experiences, yes, you do need a PhD if you're looking to become a lecturer. And yes, you will need to do typically 2 postdocs or gain equivalent experience. But it varies and it will be different in different countries. So other countries won't have those requirements. They'll have a different route into their professorial positions. So let me know in the comments, do you have a different system at your university? Have you entered academia in a different way? Or are you very much locked on to doing the PhD and the postdoc? Let's chat about it in the comments. In the meantime, thanks for watching these videos. Thanks for sharing your academic views on this channel. Have a really lovely week, and I'll see you here soon for another academic chat. Bye.